What if I told you that ICE has had to pay up to $17 million for the terrible way that it treats asylum seekers, refugee, immigrants, migrants, U.S. citizens, and green card holders in lawsuits, right? If you don't believe me, listen up. This one goes out to my friend on Threads who was feeling kind of dejected yesterday. And I said, let me give you some examples of accountability that might make you feel a little bit better, maybe not, but who knows. So for her and for you, listen up. $500,000 is what the United States government had to pay to Andre Robles Gonzalez, a United States citizen who was wrongfully detained for 87 days, charged, prosecuted, and deported to Mexico where he has no family members. He sued and he won. $17 million is what the United States government had to pay to the asylum seekers that the ICE agents traumatized, denied medical treatment to, and blanketly denied their asylum applications. And because of that lawsuit, not only did those victims get individual settlement and payouts, but also it set the standard to say that all individual asylum applications need to be reviewed on a case-by-case basis. Pedro Guzman is a man with mental illness who was wrongfully deported to Mexico where he had no family. He wandered around. Eventually, his family found him. He was returned, and ICE had to pay him $350,000 for the way they treated him. Because of the class action lawsuit JOP versus Department of Homeland Security's, unaccompanied minors who came to the United States before 2019 cannot be deported. Sadly, the Trump administration did in fact deport a young man named Daniel Lizardo off the CCOT, and we're trying to get him back because he is a member of that class. $175,000 is what ICE had to pay to Mark Daniel Little, a mentally disabled man who was deported to Mexico and who wandered aimlessly in Central America for several months before his family found him and brought him back and sued and won. Not just Latino and Hispanic men either. Peter Brown was born in Philly, raised in Jersey, decided to move down to Florida. At some point, he got into a bar brawl in Key West and was sentenced to probation. He violated his probation by smoking weed. When he went in on the weed possession, they arrested him and detained him on an immigration warrant. And he was like, what? They tried to deport him to Jamaica. And he said, bro, I have never been to Jamaica outside of to a cruise, even though he showed them his U.S. citizen birth certificate and his passport. They laughed at him. Ultimately, he won. Not quite sure he's settled with money, but it's a win still. $83,500, I think, is what a judge ordered the United States government to pay Daniel Watson, who they also wrongly deported, even though he's a U.S. citizen, and sent him out of the country. Sadly, he was there for 3 years. And because he filed his case too late, they threw out the settlement. But nonetheless, that's a lesson. If you have a case, file it immediately. Let's go back to the 80s. Orantes Hernandez, the INS, Immigration and Naturalization Service, that's the predecessor to the Department of Homeland Security. Back when El Salvador was having a lot of political unrest, some of the citizens came to the United States government. We give asylum and refugee status. Sadly, the DHS folks, the ICE agents that took them, lied, deprived them of their rights, put them in horrible facilities, and kicked them out. And an organization representing the interests of the El Salvadorians filed a class action lawsuit, and they won. Until today, ICE is now banned from treating individuals the way that they did back then. The Flores settlement is still standard. It determines how ICE is supposed to treat migrant children, stating that they must be clean, fed, housed, and only released to trusted individuals. Similarly, Ana Ramirez is the standard for unaccompanied minors that age out of the system. They cannot be pushed out to adult detention. They have to be treated with kid gloves because they're relatively still children. Now, finally, there are a lot of green card holders, permanent residents who had been lawfully detained. They have gotten individual settlements, relief from removal proceedings, and other policy changes regarding how we treat them. I'm hopeful that all these different cases give you a little sense of calm in knowing that there is a little bit of accountability. My name is JJ Legal. Find me at jjlegal.com. Follow, share this video.